Hello everybody and welcome back to today's video. Today we will be checking out how you can set up your full FiveM server with FivePD. So we're going to go through every step once again with the new 1.1 FivePD update on how you can install everything brand new and with this new update. And we're going to start all the way from the beginning of actually creating your FiveM server itself, then going to installing the FivePD resource, then to setting up the database, and then finally getting in and doing a little testing of 1.1. So real quick, there are timestamps in the description and there's also chapters on this video. So if you already have a FiveM server and you just want to install FivePD, just skip to the FivePD portion and it's all easy and down located in the description for you. So in order to create our server, now FiveM calls them FX servers, we're going to need two things. We're going to need Git, and you can just go ahead and download this from the link in the description. It's just an easy exe installer, so just click the 64, install it, you're good. And then a recommendation, it's not required, but a highly suggested recommendation is Notepad++. It'll make your job a billion times easier when editing files, and it makes it all over very easy. Alright, so to get started, what we're going to do is I'll leave this link so it has written instructions as well down in the description, but we're just going to go and walk through it ourselves. So we're going to create a new folder somewhere on our desktop or in some file where we want to run our server. In this case, I'm just going to create a new folder on our desktop, and I'm going to name this FiveM server test or something like that. Make sure there is no spaces in this folder name. This is going to come in handy later. A lot of people ran into issues with our last tutorial because you put spaces in this folder. Put no spaces in the server name. Alright, so you're going to go ahead and go into this folder now. And then you're going to go to the second or third link down in the description, which is the artifacts build for FiveM. And it will look like this when you click on it. It will say FiveM build server windows _ master or /master. And then you're just going to download the latest recommended version. You don't have to download the latest. It should work on the latest version, but I would just download the recommended version because that's the most stable version according to FiveM. So we're just going to go ahead and download the recommended version. You can see it's downloaded a server.zip file. Make sure you have something that opens a zip file like WinZip, WinRAR, 7-zip, something like that. So you'll go ahead and open this, and it will open in like a little folder that looks like this. And then in our FiveM server test, we're just going to create a new folder, and we're going to name it server. And we're just going to drag all of the files which we just downloaded into that server folder. And we're just going to wait for it to transfer over. So now if we go into our server folder, you can see all those files are now there. So we've just transferred everything we just downloaded to the server folder. This is where things get a little bit more complicated because we got to use our new installed Git for Windows. So in order to use this, you're going to right click in the folder, and if you installed it correctly, you'll see Git bash here and Git GUI here. You want to click Git bash here, and it'll open up a command prompt. Inside of this command prompt, you're going to go back to the setting up server page and copy git clone and then the GitHub link with the server -data at the end. So you're just going to copy this and paste it into your window. To paste, you can do right click. That's a cool tip with this. So you can right click to paste it in and press enter. It will then say cloning into server data, and you can see it has created a new server data folder. And just to make it easier on me, I'm going to rename my server folder so it doesn't have a capital S, so everything is the same. So then you can go into your server data and you can see it has the resource folder, it has the readme, the git ignore, and the git. You may not see this git file. Now, if you want to see it, just so you can stay on the same page, you can go up to this little expanded ribbon thing, go to view, and show hidden items, but make sure, this is one thing to make sure of, have file name extensions clicked so we can create our start.bat later. So just make sure you have that enabled. So you can see it is now gone ahead and installed that. We can now close out this Git window over here. It may take some time to do that just depending on your internet speed and your download speed, because sometimes it does take a little while to load. Anyway, we'll go back to our setting up a server folder. And now it says make a server.cfg file in your server data folder. So we're going to go to the example server.cfg file below. So you can click it and you can see it has taken us to this. This is our example server.cfg file. So what we want to do is we want to go back into our folder, and in here we're going to right click, press go to new, and then text document. But instead of doing this, now that we have clicked show file extensions, you can see we see .text after this. We're going to delete all of this and name it server and then add .cfg. And it should pop up saying if you change your file name extension, the file may become unusable. Press yes, and you can see it has changed to just a white document. What you want to do now to edit this is right click and press edit with Notepad++, or you can press open with WordPad if you didn't install Notepad++, and it will open up in a window like this. You will then take everything you just saw on the server.cfg into that folder. So just copy it all, right click and copy, go back, right click and paste. And you can see we have pasted the whole thing in, save the file. We are now ready to go ahead and set up our license key. I'm going to go ahead and show the part of me doing it last time so I don't have to re-blur everything out, and we'll be right back. To get your keymaster, you're going to actually go to keymaster.fivem.net, and you'll need to make it a FiveM account in order to do this. This screen will also be very blurry for you right now because I'm hiding all my IP addresses and all my keys from you because I don't want to be hacked or anything. So pretty much in order to do this, you're going to click it will say once you're logged in, you currently have blank keys. You'll probably have 0 if this is your first time. You can still register infinite servers. So just click register, and it will go ahead and create a new key or new pop-up for you. And of course it's going to make me sign in again because this is how this works sometimes. So make sure to sign in, and it will go ahead and sign in using the Forums account. So you'll have to have a Forums account in order to sign in. If you don't have a Forums account, when you press sign in, it's going to ask you to sign in again. So then you'll see label, server IP, and pick a type. So our label will be like YouTube home server or something. So if you're hosting at home, that's what this will be. We'll skip the server IP for now, and we'll come back to that in just a moment, but we're going to pick the server type of home hosted. You either have the options of doing home hosted, dedicated server, VPS, or server provider. Please note, FiveM only allows you to home host your own dedicated server or VPS, or use their certified server hosting provider from Zap Hosting. You cannot use any other hosting provider to host a FiveM server. We're going to be doing home hosted. Now you may be wondering, how do I get my server IP address? Well, this is important to get. You need to go to a new tab, type in what's my IP4 address. Make sure you put IP4 address. Don't ignore your public IP address up here, because this is just going to be a bunch of random numbers and letters normally. Go to the first one, which is whatismyip.com. Open this up. And you can see my public IP4 address is this. It will be blurred for you because I don't want to be hacked, but you'll see it right here. You're just going to copy this, right click, copy your IP address, go back to your keymaster server, go ahead and paste it in, complete the CAPTCHA, press generate. It's going to take a moment to load while it checks all your IPs and everything else and loads it into the database. And you can see down here you have your new key. So you're going to right click or highlight, copy, and then you're going to put this key inside of your FiveM server file down here. Please note, by the time this video comes out, I've deactivated this key, so you can't use it. I'm showing it so you can see what it looks like, but by the time this video comes out, it's deactivated, you can't use it, it's not going to work. So don't even try. Please, don't try. So there you go, you got that set up. Now we're going to move on to the next step. Alright, so now that my past self has gone ahead and installed your server key, we are going to go ahead and jump into how you can actually start the server by using a starter or start.bat file. You can pretty much name them at all, but it's just going to be a .bat file is what we're going to create. So in order to create this, we're going to go back to our main folder, which is our FiveM server test folder. We're going to go into the server folder, and in this folder, just make sure you have the file name extensions enabled under the View tab in your Windows Explorer. Right click, press new, press text document, then once again you're going to copy the whole thing including the text at the end, and we can just name this start.bat. It doesn't really matter what you name it before, but all you need to know is the .bat has to be after it. Go ahead and press yes, and you can see it's created something down here. If we click this right now, it's going to do nothing. It's going to say this app can't run on your PC, probably because it doesn't do anything. So what we want to do is we want to right click it, press edit with Notepad++ or open with Notepad, depending on what you're using. And then in here, we're going to make it do something. And what we're going to make it do is we're going to make it go to your server data folder and then execute the server exe file. So in order to do this, we're going to type cd, and then we're going to type /d, and then put a space. Now we're going to copy something to put in here. So go back to your folder, and you can go back to your main FiveM server test folder, go to server data. Then what you want to do is you want to click the top line up here. It doesn't look like you can click it, just click it once and you can see it pops out and highlights blue. You can right click and copy this. You're going to then right click and paste this into your first line up here. And that's what we want to do. And then you're just going to press enter, and then we're going to put a second line. And this second line, you're going to go back to your FiveM server test folder, then go back to your server folder, and go ahead and copy this link to your second line. And you can see it's blue. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add a backslash. Once again, backslash is right above enter key on your keyboard, and you're going to go ahead and type fxserver.exe space plus, and then you're going to type these letters, exec, just like that. And then one more space, and this time you're going to type server.cfg. And go ahead and make one more line, and this is going to allow you to find any issues that run up with this. If you have an issue in the last video, it would just disappear, but this time you're actually going to be able to see what the issue is. So if something happens wrong, you're just going to add @pause to this final line. And what this means is if something goes wrong, it's just going to wait here and not close and tell you what went wrong. So that's all you have to do. You can go ahead and exit out of here. Now, if we go down to the start.bat, if we click it, you can see it's opening and it's founding all the resources that we used. And when they ask for access, just press allow access because it needs to connect to stuff. And you can see it is now loaded in and its authorization and everything and sending heartbeat to the FiveM servers, and we are up. We have created our FiveM server. So we can go ahead and exit out of this now. And if you want an easy access to this, you can just go right click on your starter.bat file or start.bat file and just go ahead and press create shortcut. And then you can drag this to your desktop or wherever else you want it. So you can see when I double click this, it's actually going to start my server once again. So it's that easy to start up and use, that easy. So now we're going to go ahead and install FivePD, which is the mod, and we'll go ahead and install that now. So we're going to close out of this, keep your server data folder and server folder open because we're going to use this later. Now you're going to go to the FivePD website, and this is the GTA Police Mods website technically, and you're going to go ahead and download this file, and you're going to go ahead and register an account on this site. So when you register an account to download, the link will be in the top of the description to register the account. Please use our referral link if possible because it does track who comes from the channel, who's watching the videos, stuff like that. So please, if you can, use that. It's very appreciated. If not, no big deal. Then just go ahead and press download this file, select the latest version. So right now, I'm recording this a little early, just accept the Lula, and you can see the latest version is 1.0.6.1. Even though the latest version while you're watching this will be 1.1, you'll download the 1.1 release or whatever the newest version of FivePD is. I will be using a beta version, so I already have it downloaded, but you can go ahead and download the latest version for whenever you're watching this video. When you download it, you will get a folder or a zip file that looks like this. Inside of this zip file, you can see there is a FivePD folder and a FivePD.sql database. What we want to do is we want to go to our server.data folder, go to resources, and then just drag in this whole first FivePD file. And you can see it's now in here, and you can see there's lots of files inside of this. We're not going to do anything with this yet. We will be doing stuff with this soon. You're going to go back to your server data folder, go to your server.cfg file, once again right click and press edit with notepad or edit with WordPad or whatever you use. Go ahead and scroll up, and then right where it says these resources will start by default. You'll see either ensure or start. What you want to do is you want to add whatever you have already. If it says start, use start. If it says ensure, use ensure. And just add it ensure FivePD, and make sure it's exactly how the folder is we just dragged in. So you can see it's all lowercase. So we're going to go ahead and press save to this, Control S, exit out. And then when we start up our start.bat file we created, you can see it's loading FivePD. And what's going to say is, oh, it can't connect because we haven't actually started our database yet. So you can see it has error, could not connect to database. So we're going to go ahead and set this up. So we're going to exit out once again. And now we're going to go ahead and set up our database, which FivePD is going to use. One thing I really quickly wanted to note, before you go ahead and import the database like I do in the video, please make sure you drag the FivePD.sql outside of the .zip or .rar file because it won't upload if it's in here, so just put it on your desktop and I'm going to send it to my past self to explain how to install the database. In order to set up a database, we're going to need XAMPP, or I have no clue how you pronounce this software name, but this is what you're going to need. You're going to need to download the latest one for your operating system. For me, I'm going to download the 7, just the top one, because this is the most used one, and you can see it's downloading here. And then we're going to set this up. So they recommend you set this up in the same type of place you set up your local disk C. You can see I already have it installed, but I'm going to make a second folder and install it again. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go ahead and open up the installer, press yes to the administrator permissions. It requires administrator permissions to install. Then it's just going to load up here. It's going to take a little bit. You can see it's going to load up. Important. Yeah. Press next. Press next. Make sure this is selected. We don't need a mail server. We don't need really anything else. We don't need fake send mail or any of that. Make sure the only things we need is phpMyAdmin and MySQL. So you don't actually need any of the rest of those. Not needed. Just press next, and then this is where you're going to select the folder you want to install it in. You can see it's by default installing in the XAMPP folder, but I'm just going to put that XAMPP2 because I already have the XAMPP folder in here. and just click next, then select the language you want. I would just uncheck this. You don't need to learn more about it. Press next, it's going to install. It takes a little bit of time to install, but it's not that bad. You can see it's creating the folder down here, and it's installing everything. So this is where we're going to go next, and we're going to create our databases and users and everything that's required to get the server up and running and working. We no longer need the exam folder back here, and we're just going to close that and leave this minimized for now while it unpacks and installs. One thing I wanted to note, if you need support with any of this, please let me know down in the comments. I'd be happy to help you out with stuff. Also, you can also ask on the FivePD website or the FiveM website, depending on what point you get stuck at. And we have a lot of FivePD and FiveM content coming out soon, so make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. So we are just going to wait for this to install, and I will be back once it installs. So once this has installed successfully, a window like this will pop open. Then you just click Start on both Apache and MySQL. It will ask for administrator privileges sometimes. If it does ask, just approve it. The next thing you're going to do is just click this little admin button next to MySQL here, and it's actually going to open a web tab for you. And this web tab normally will be at localhost/phpMyAdmin. For mine, I have a different port running for phpMyAdmin, so it will change, but by default, it will be at localhost/phpMyAdmin. So if you have any issues with this, make sure to leave it down in the comments below, and I'll be happy to help out. Some of the stuff on this page will be blurred because I have personal databases on here for my local host developing testing. So in order to create a new database, which we're actually going to use, you just click the new button right here, and the database name, I'm just going to name FivePD, and just click create, and then you can see I am in my database here. Now, in order to import all of the SQL files you're going to need, you just click the import button, and then you're going to just go ahead and drag, you don't need this folder open anymore, you're going to go ahead and drag that FivePD SQL file we have on our desktop here over to this import button, and just drop it in. You can see it's uploaded. Just press go at the bottom, or you are fine here because it already said success. Go back to structure, and you can see it has imported our database, which is pretty cool. So if you get an error when uploading or anything, just read the error message, see what it says. You can look up on Google the solutions for it, or ask down in the comments below. So you can see it's gone ahead and loaded in everything we needed for the plugin to work. Now it's time to get our database usernames and passwords and everything to get in here. So our database name is FivePD. So over in our server directory, which I'll go ahead and open up once again, our server directory is in our local disk, and it's under FiveM or whatever you saved it under, and then server data, resources, FivePD, and then you can go to the config.json file. Go ahead and open this again, and we're going to edit it. So you can see by default the database name is FivePD, which is what we named ours, so we're good there. We're running on localhost, so 127.0.0.1 is localhost with the default port of 3306. That is all that does. Now you can go back to the home page and click user accounts if you want to create a user account and get in. So by default, I have a bunch of user accounts here, but I'm going to create a new one for this. So I'm going to add a user account. Its username is going to be FivePD because why not? Its host name, this is the allowed IP addresses. I'm going to leave it as all IP addresses can connect to it, and I'm going to name it FivePD password or something, or I'll just name the password password. Extremely weak. Yes, I'm aware. Password is password. And then authorization page, you can just do that. You can generate a password if you want. And then I'm just going to grant all privileges with this username for everything and give it all global privileges and everything to connect. So that's all I'm going to do. And then I'm just going to press go at the bottom, and it's going to have created it. Then in our file down here, our username is now FivePD. Our password is password. Please don't use password as a password. Press save, and you have set this up. Now, in order to see if this works, we're going to go ahead and start our server. Alright, so one thing I did want to note is a few people, a common issue people run into is it still won't connect even after you did these steps. One thing, which is our common solution to this, is going ahead and modifying what we put under the database. So you see in the video I just did, it's a little bit different than this. But what I did is, because sometimes the user for some reason has an issue being created or the passwords are wrong, you can always use the default login. The default login is the username is always root and the password is always blank. So if you have an issue where it still won't connect even after you do that, try to reset the username to root but the password to blank, and just leave that. Keep your host port and database whatever you already set up, but make sure these two are this if you have an issue with it not connect. Alright, so now we have installed the database and everything, we are ready to go ahead and start our server once again. We can do this from our start.bat file we put on our desktop, and this time when it loads up, you're going to see that it's all green rather than having red errors. You can see it is all green. Loaded callout configuration files, successfully connected to databases, and all of this. If you get any of these yellow warnings, just ignore them. They are just not a line in the configure file. You don't have to worry about it. It will just use the default version. You can always add them, and the links will be on the GTA Police Mods website if you're interested, but you don't need to add those. And then you can see successfully connected. So we're ready to join and test and see if our FivePD install worked, and we're just going to take a look around. So we're going to go ahead and launch FiveM, and we're going to go ahead and get into our localhost server, and I'm going to show you how to connect to a localhost server because a lot of you probably don't know. If you've been here before, please make sure you watch all of our FivePD and FiveM videos because we go over a lot about resources and how to install different mods and all of this good stuff. So we got lots of videos here you can watch to see all that, but we're just going to go over the basics of connecting with the new UI since the UI changed since the last time we've made this video. So I'm going to let FiveM launch and I'll be right back. Alright, so once you get into the main screen, you'll just go ahead and press start, go up to where it says play, and then for this you're just going to type in the search bar localhost. Ignore anything that pops up over here. Don't click anything down here. What you want to click is the one that pops up right here at the top, and just press connect, and you can see it's handshaking, requesting, downloading content, connecting, and you can see the FivePD loading screen has appeared, which means we have successfully installed FivePD correctly. So that is great news. It's a brand new loading screen for 1.1, which is absolutely amazing. I actually really like it. And if it's the same way to modify it, if you go watch our how to modify your FivePD loading screen, that will help you out as well. If you want to modify this screen, remove it or whatever, it's the same way in 1.1 as it was in earlier versions of FivePD. The first time you load in will take some time. This is because you're downloading all of the server files and everything to your local FiveM cache, and this changes every time you join a new server. But once you join once, it will actually be faster every time you join because it has that data already. Now, a lot of common problems happens when people don't realize something went wrong. So the two places you can check if something went wrong with your install is by pressing F8. You can see there is an entire console log up here. If you get any like big red errors that say error or anything, so you can see how I'm loading in. And you can see our FivePD is loaded by it saying, hey, these have been loaded, you've joined in. So you can actually see these by pressing F8. But if there's any big red errors, or if we ask you to check console, check your in-game console for an error, if you're asking for support on the forums, this is where you press F8 too. Then if you just press Shift Tab, you can see if you go in here, you can always check here for errors as well. So if there's any big red errors in here or anything, that's probably not a good sign and you should probably contact support about that. But this red here is completely normal. You can see Noodles has been registered automatically when I join the server. Yay! So we are in. FivePD 1.1 is on the top left hand corner. I'm going to go ahead and make FiveM the big window so you can easily see it. Okay, that didn't work. Great. So I guess it's going to be the small window. So we're going to go ahead and press get into our on duty. So you can see we don't spawn in a police station. This is done on purpose to prevent resources and other resources from having issues with FivePD. So if you want to teleport to a police station, all you have to do is press F11 to open the duty menu, and then just go teleport to station. And I'm going to teleport to the Vespucci station, which is down by the water, and you can see we have teleported correctly. Then you can always go ahead and refill your health and armor. You have the options menu here, menu position, the toggle your blips, toggle patrol car blips. You can also change your language as you want. You can get your loadout, spawn vehicles, toggle cruise control, keep engine running, and go on duty. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and go on duty. So you can see dispatch status, Noodles is on duty. And then you can go ahead and spawn a loadout or get loadouts, which are weapons and stuff, and go ahead and spawn your vehicle. So you can see by default, you do have that vehicle model on the screen there, and on your mini map in the bottom left hand corner, which is really cool. So one of the new features of 1.1 is a fully redesigned CAD, which is pretty cool. So you're going to press B to open it up. I'm going to turn off the radio so I don't get copyrighted. You can press B to open up. Now by default, you just have this default menu here, and you can see at the bottom it says admin code. Now if you're wondering how to get your admin code, we can go ahead and open our server folder once again. And this folder, we're going to go ahead into the FivePD folder and go back to the config.json file and just edit this with Notepad again. And then all the way at the bottom, you'll see admin code. Admin. There you go. So you can see admin code is admin. Perfect. That's just what we wanted. So we're going to go ahead and take this code. You can copy and paste it or just type it yourself. Go down here and press in admin, press enter, and you can see our new options have appeared down at the bottom. One thing I would note, I would change this password when you install so other users who join your server can't make themselves an admin. Very suggested. And alright, so now that we have made ourselves an admin, all we can do at the bottom is we can go ahead and create a department. And you can do this by pressing this little circle with a plus icon. So we're going to go ahead and click that, and you can see this new department creator is opened. Enter your department name. For my example, I'm just going to say LSPD. Department short name, LSPD. You can set your department icon, background, and computer wallpaper to your liking. So if you have your custom one or you want to make a custom one for your server, you can do that here. Then the max members limit is 100. Please do not make this 0, otherwise you won't be able to join your own department, and that sometimes people run into that issue. So make sure you have it over 0. And then I'm going to set it to 100. And then your radius in miles, I'm just going to put 5.5 as that's one of their examples. You can put this to whatever you want, however big you want your department to be. And then your call sign format, and I'm just going to put N for my call sign format, just as an example. You can put whatever you want in the future. Go ahead and press create, and you can see you can now join your call out or your department, let's say, and just press join, and you can see we're in. You can check your IDs, check licenses, reports, call outs, and you can see call outs here. You can just see the info on it, the address, where it is, status of it, description, backup requests. So if someone in the server requests a backup, you can do that. You have a service to call a tow truck or a mechanic or a prison transport or an ambulance or a coroner or a fire department or animal control or an air ambulance. This air ambulance is a new one. Very, very cool. Citations. You want to create a citation? You can give a citation and view it in here when you created it, when you're on a traffic stop or something, which is really cool. You got your settings, so you can change your keyboard and mouse settings, or your account settings, like your display name and everything. And you can finally edit the department. And this is where you can save the department name, department short name, maximum members, application status. Does it require an application? Is it open? You can promote and demote members. Down here, you can see if they're available or if they're on, what their call signs are. Your icons, background, wallpaper, radius, and call sign format obviously can be changed in here as well. To create reports and stuff, just go ahead and press like new arrest report, enter their name, street, city, zip, charges, etc. You can select the charges from the charges menu up here. So you can get all these, and it's really cool. So overall, that's kind of how the MDT works. Obviously, if you have any issues, please report them on the forums, because it's very easy for us to track bugs there and everything. Other than that, when you're in game, the main controls for FivePD is F11 is the duty menu, where you can just change your duty menus and everything. You have the G menu, which opens your dispatch and scene menu. Dispatch menu allows you to check license plates, so if you're behind a vehicle, you can check their license plate. There you go. So you can see toll violation is one of the flags on the vehicle, so you can pull them over for that. I don't know if I would pull someone over for that, but we'll see. Over here you can see flag 0, valid, 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 and you can do this between everybody. So this guy has invalid registration, and you can see it actually flagged that, and it also flagged the registration as well. You can press F9 to activate a ALPR, which will automatically detect stuff around you. So you can see on the left-hand side there, anybody who has like invalid registration or something is being flagged by ALPR. To disable this, just press F9 once again. So that's very cool. So all the vehicles around you, it will track and figure out who's stolen or something like that. So that's actually very, very cool. Sadly, the last part of the video where I was actually going over the other controls got lost and corrupted, which is fun. But anyway, the full link to all the controls will also be down in the description. It's also on the update logs, so make sure to go check those out, because the full list of what you can do is there. There's so much cool stuff in this update, so go check it out. Hopefully this did help you install it. I'll be doing a full overview video that goes over all the controls and stuff in a few days, so stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Niddles, or BGHDDevelopment, or Stefan, whatever you want to call me, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Bye.